Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Clever Clarinetist. I'm your host, Dr. Larkin Sanders, and today we are working on the Klose patterns for the Missouri All-State Band Audition packet, set 1. For this year, we have a lot of flats. This year's theme is flats. So we're going to work our way through all this like gnarly, heavy, accidental stuff, and then we'll play through it together. Alright, time for some Klose. So the first exercise they tell you to learn is this A flat major exercise right here. Scales in thirds. I love this quote up here. Considerable time should be devoted to this exercise. The author considers it to be one of the most important studies. And you know what? I think this is advice that must be heeded because Hyacinth Klose was one of the best clarinetists in the world when he was alive, and he played a very big role in the progression of the clarinet as a musical instrument, in the progression of clarinet technology, if you will. So I think he knows what he's talking about. So we have to play our thirds in A flat major. We call these just thirds for short. This year we have to play A flat major. So let's talk through it a little bit. We have to start on our right hand A flat, of course, and you know I like to write little R's. And I have very kindly written out most of the accidentals for you in each bar, but don't forget, accidentals carry through. So even though there's no flat in front of this D, it is still a D flat because of the previous D flat in the measure. So is that E flat. So if you feel like you're going to miss flats like that aren't repeated throughout the measure, go ahead and write them in. Don't make yourself suffer through having to remember all these dang flats. You know what? I'm even going to write them in myself real quick. Alright, now that I've gotten all my flats written in, let's make sure I've got all the right fingerings figured out. So, namely, we need to figure out what pinkies we're going to use because of all these dang flats. So once we get over the break, we want to make sure that everything's going to revolve around our E flats. So we'll go ahead and write an R, little R for right of our E flats. Should be 2 on each side, 2 on the ascent and 2 on the descent. So we have to make everything work around there. So that means immediately prior to it and after, we're gonna have to have left hands, right? Left hand C natural, left hand D flat here. And then prior to this, it's gonna have to be right. So we're gonna have to use right hand D flat. We have to use both of our D flats in this scale. We have to use our right hand and our left hand to make this work. R, L, R, L, R. Bleh. I know, it seems intimidating, but once you get the hang of it, once you practice it a bunch, it's really not so bad, and you really only have to learn this one time for it to stick with you for a good long time. And then for this C, you can use whichever one you want. I will probably use my right hand because that is more intuitive for me. I'm gonna go ahead and write in all my pinkies for this side as well. There. Got all my pinkies written in. Otherwise, there aren't any real funky fingerings, nothing weird, nothing chromatic. Use all your regular fingerings for things like E flat and B flat. Nothing weird. Alright, so I think we've covered all of our bases in A flat major, broken chords of the tonic and its inversion in all keys. These are really fun, especially if you've got a nice big boomy room to play them in. You can see how I've got our chords outlined in brackets here. So we start on A flat major and end at the end of E flat minor. Woo, all the flats, right? Because they say you have to do the 5th, 6th, and 7th lines. So we only have, in an A flat major chord, we have A flats and E flats and then C naturals. There are only 3 notes in a triad or in a tonic chord. So as long as you're playing an A flat, C, and E flat, you're doing okay. And just remember it's the same 3 notes over and over again, or same 3 pitch classes over and over again. A flat, C, E flat, 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 A flat, A flat. It's the same thing over and over again. If you feel like you're going to forget to play your E flat, or you forget to play your E flats, go ahead and write them in. All right, I'm just gonna write in those 2. And of course we have to do a little pinky acrobatics. And so we have to do right-handed E flats. And that means we have to do left-handed C naturals. So make sure you know which key to push for left-handed C natural. And it's the same thing on the way down. Right hand E flat, left hand C. Cool. And then for these E flats, you must use your side key. Using your little forked banana key won't work for this chord because of all the things you still have to do with your ring finger. All right. After A flat major, we have F minor. Is this starting to sound familiar? Like maybe your scale patterns. In F minor, we only have A flats as the only accidental. Everything else is natural. So F, A flat, C. F, A flat, C. F, A flat, C. F, A flat, C. Excellent. And we have to start this one on our left hand F because the following note is an A flat, which we must play with our right hand. So go ahead and write in all of those changes, or all of those fingerings. Unfortunately, for the next register, you don't have to use it. You can just do your right hand C. Same thing on the way down. In fact, you have to use your right hand C on the way down so you can play A flat with your left hand. Oh, the clarinet, what a silly thing. And yet we love it. Okay, that's all you need to know about F minor. And then we have D flat major, in which we have D flats, F, and A flats. So if you need to write in all those accidentals, go ahead and do so. I like to use my right hand, D flat, in this scale, or in this arpeggio exercise because it keeps everything a little bit coordinated. So if you feel like writing that in, go for it. And don't forget, D flat is the same as C sharp in harmonic tones for the win. And then we have the relative minor chord next of D flat major, which is B flat minor, in which we have B flats, D flats, and F naturals. Super fun. I'm still gonna use my right hand pinky for D flat, again, for coordination. But we have a super fun fingering here. For B flat, we're gonna use this famous fingering called the 1 and 1 fingering. That means you're gonna hold your first finger down in your left hand and your first finger down in the right hand to make that happen. That just makes going from F natural to B flat super simple. And if you were gonna keep going higher in your B flat major arpeggio, that would also make your life easier as you go to high D and F, etc. So I highly recommend your 1 and 1 B flat here. If you're feeling extra coordinated and you're great using your side key B flat, your normal B flat fingering, by all means, do what feels more comfortable for you. This fingering is just super easy for me, so I really like it. If it's really fuzzy on your clarinet or it doesn't come out very well on your clarinet, make sure your bridge key is aligned. This is also a good indicator that maybe your bridge key is out of adjustment or out of alignment. Sometimes, if your bridge key is out of adjustment, then it'll be perfectly lined up on your clarinet and this note won't come out. In that case, mess around with your bridge key until this note works and then go get it fixed whenever you get a chance to take it to the repair shop. All right, and then our last two keys are going to be G flat major and E flat minor. Ooh, the lovely 6 flat keys. So G flat is the same as F sharp, and in this key we're gonna start on our right hand. But once we get to the next register, once we get to things like D flat, we're still gonna use our right hand. And don't forget G flats carry through the measure, and this will be the same as an F sharp, so you'll use your middle finger for that G flat. Again, like all these other keys, I like keeping it in my right hand. That keeps me a little bit more coordinated, keeps things a little bit more consistent. You are welcome to use your left hand, but I think you'll find that is trickier, and it just makes your life a little bit more difficult. Okay. Otherwise, G flat minor is not so terrible, even though every single note is flat. G flat, B flat, and D flat. If you need to write in all your accidentals, please go ahead and do it. You don't want to forget them or accidentally learn something wrong. To make sure all those accidentals are carrying through the bars. Okay, in E flat minor, we have E flats, G flats, and B flats. So make sure all of those flats are carrying through the bars and up these arpeggios. So even though we only see E flat down here, we still have to play that E as a flat, E flat up there. Accidentals carry through the bar and up through the octaves. Unfortunately, there are no trick fingerings for this one. You still have to play a regular B flat with your side key. So 1, 2 side, E flat, B flat, and then your E flat must be your normal forked fingering. Again, middle fingering won't work for that high E flat. It is too flat of a fingering, and the fork key, or the forked fingering will be nice and in tune. And then it ends right here. If you feel weird ending it like not on the beat, I would resolve it to this B natural. I think if you land on the B natural, no one's gonna be super mad at you. D, 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 and just end it there. Now I know one of the particular challenges of this exercise is that it's so long and there's no place to breathe. So what do? I think you need to make it through a whole line at least without breathing, and then you can sneak little breaths at the end of the lines. The faster you go, of course, the less often you need to breathe, and also the more challenging it will become to breathe. But I think it is possible to play this whole exercise in one breath if it's fast enough. But again, if you can't quite make it all the way through, see if you can try your best to make it to the end of the lines and sneak in a quick breath before going on to the next line. And then the last exercise you have to do from the Klose book are these lovely diminished chords. I love diminished chords because there are only 3 in the entire like Western musical language, which is really nice. They just are spelled differently. Sometimes it looks like there are different notes in them and it makes you feel like you're playing all these different chords, but really there are only 3 of them. So be again really diligent that you're catching all of these accidentals and that they're carrying not only through the bars but up the octaves as well. So we start on a nice C major chord. That's not so bad. C, E, G, C, E, G, C, B, A flat, F, D, right? So we're gonna have some combination of B, A flat, F, and D all the way down. So if you need to write in those A flats, go ahead and do it. And after you do that, make sure that you are going to play your B natural here with your right hand. That's actually gonna make your life a lot easier rather than doing it with the left hand, which requires more coordination. And you can land here with your right hand F and get started on your E diminished chord going up. So it's going to be some combination of this over and over again. E, G, B flat, D flat, G, B flat, D flat, E. And they spell it differently on the way down. You can see it lands on a C sharp instead of a D flat. It's the same note enharmonically, right? But this is a really common way that you might see this chord in your music someday. C sharp, B flat, G, and E. This would be a C sharp diminished chord going down. And again, make sure that these accidentals are carrying through the bar and through the registers. All right, I wrote in some accidentals there. You can do your right hand C sharp on the way down, and that'll help you with your coordination. And then we go right into our F sharp diminished chord. This is probably the most common diminished chord we see, and I know it's really prevalent in works by Carl Maria von Weber, which I'm sure you'll encounter eventually, like the concertina or the 2 concertos that he wrote. I know I played a couple of those in high school, and I hope you get a chance to as well. So it's good to learn these now, and then they won't be so hard when you see them come across in music. We have F sharps, A sharp, F sharp, A, C, and E flat. Some kind of iteration of that all the way going up. Make sure you're using your left hand C natural so you can play a right-handed E flat. To do that 3 times on the way up. And so that means you're probably gonna have to do it 3 times on the way down as well. And on the way down, they have them, you change your E flats to D sharps. So it becomes a D sharp diminished chord, excuse me. Right, left, right, left. You only have to do it 3 times. I'm gonna write in my accidentals. Cool. And then we're gonna land on G. Kind of starting to get back to where we started. So on the way up, we're gonna have our A sharps and the C sharps, just like we had earlier here. But up here, they were spelled with B flats and D flats, so we have A sharps and C sharps here. Same scale, or same chord as this one. So hopefully you'll catch that there's a pattern. By the time you get here, you have already played them. You've already done this one. How cool is that? And the same here, you can see it's the same thing. B flat changes to A sharp. So we already know how to do that. If you need to write in your accidentals and which pinkies to use and stuff, go ahead and do that, but we'll consider that already figured out. And then we land on G sharp here. Have we done this one before? Is this one new? We've done it descending, but we haven't, this is our first descent. So this is the same as this, right? We have A flats here, same note as G sharp. So this is the ascending version of that. G sharps, if you need to write in your G sharps, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, for your pinkies here, make sure you're using a right hand B, just to make your life easier, just like we did here. A little bit of similarities between the two, if I do say so myself. And we land on a high F, which is your normal F natural fingering. And we're gonna make our way back down again. And once you get to the B, it's the exact same pattern that you've already done all the way to the end. It's kind of nice when you have a repetitive something like this, so you don't have to work quite so hard at learning every single note and every single pattern. Well, that is all of your Klose material for this year in set 1 of the Missouri All-State audition material. Now let's play it all. Alright, let's play through all this stuff. I will talk you through each one. Feel free to play along with me, or pause and look at my fingerings a little more up close. If you're confused about anything or unsure about what we just went over, now's your time to like kind of zoom in on me and see how the professionals do it. So here we go, starting on our A flat major thirds. I'm gonna put my metronome on 88 beats per minute because that's what the requirement is for scales, and I feel like it's a good goal to set for these Klose exercises. Make sure to tune in the next videos that'll feature the etudes of set 1, number 20 and 21 from Ciel Rose's 32 etudes. Until then, I am Clarinet.